So yeah, in the student experience, we put a lot of effort in each year to ask all our student body, undergraduates, postgraduate taught and PhD students about the experience. We use that data internally, so internally, but also the government will also use some of that data nationally to generate league tables. In the UK, the last 10 years, the government and all universities have become a lot more data driven. So it's all about getting data and then using data to make decisions. And you'll see some of the significant changes we've put in for the PhD students, what the graduate school is doing, has really come out of government initiatives of where they think we should be going, the government-driven questionnaires on student experience that highlight areas where our PhD students or undergraduate students feel the universities aren't delivering what they should do. And the government uses that to control us. So one of the issues we had was completing our PhDs within a sensible time. Many of my colleagues, when I did my PhD, were 3, 4, 5 years to complete their PhDs. The average was about 3.5 years in the UK sector, and the government's saying, no, we want this to come down to 3 years. 3 years is enough to do a PhD. We allow you to have a delay, so allow you a 4-year period. But if your average for a university gets too high, we have too many students not completing within 4 years, the government will make it hard for you to get funding, research funding. Try to encourage universities to do more, to educate their PhD students to complete on time. Part of that was the programme study for our PhD students. So in the first year, give them all the tools they need centrally, research methods essentially, to make sure that all students get off to a good start. We cannot rely on our individual academics to always deliver the high quality service we need. We have to use the graduate school to make sure everyone gets a minimum high quality level. And that's the sort of drive that's going on. And you'll see some of that data coming out in what I'm showing you here. So all our surveys we do are actually online. We used to obviously be paper-driven. Paper-driven, we used to get about 50-60% response rates. You go to online, it comes down to between 30 and 40% response rates, unless you just think about exceptional to try to get it high. I'll take you to that. So a little bit about Brunel though. The government likes to get a lot of data about the student experience at Brunel. They want to use it to rank us against other universities, but I think we all know that each university is slightly different. Each university has their own culture. We have 130 odd universities in the UK now, a lot of universities. We've got Oxford and Cambridge. It's a bit different to Brunel. Yeah? We have Cambridge is universities in Essex. And Essex is a different place to have a university than it is in London area. We've got quite a large number of universities in London. This map here really shows the greater, I haven't got a quarter. This area here shows you the London area, or Greater London area. The red zone is where Brunel is, that's Hillingdon Borough. Central London's about here, right in the middle of the map. It's about here. Quite a few of our students are living in a 5-mile radius, but only 45% of them. Now, this is all our students, undergraduates, PGT and PhD students. What you will find with the PhD map, most of our overseas PhD students are living in this area. Not all of them though, because a lot of them are living with family and friends in central London. So even our home student PhD students tend not to live in this area, they tend to live outside this area. Now, it takes you about 2 hours to get from zone here to Uxbridge. So it's a long commute. Okay? It takes you probably a good hour if you're in this area here. I actually live just about there, and it takes me an hour to drive to Brunel in the morning during the rush hour. So a lot of our students are travelling for an hour to get to university. A lot of these students around here, it's 2 hours. Okay? We are a campus university, so you think that everything's on one campus, but most of our students are living away from Brunel. So how our students see what we do at Brunel can be very different to a university where 90% of the students are living in the zone here, and they haven't got the same sort of traffic problems we have here. Think about a PhD student, you haven't got courses to attend. If I'm sitting here as a PhD student doing my research, I've got my internet, I've got my connection, I've got my VPN. Do I need to come to Brunel? Yes, I need to come to Brunel to see my supervisor. Perhaps might have to use some equipment here, but I've got VPN and it's software based, I don't have to come. So really, what we do struggle with is a lot of our mature and PhD students live outside of our main catchment zone. They're not part of the Brunel community. And getting them into the Brunel community is the issue. And that's really where the graduate school came from. The graduate school was there to try to get as a social hub, but when the students come, it's not just to see their PhD students, it's to see the supervisor, it's to see the community. Okay, so what each university will do, they'll tailor it for their own needs. The surveys I'm going to show you are standard surveys, standard questions, same questions for all universities, but universities have to be very clever or very careful how they analyse that data. So in terms of the surveys that we use at Brunel, now not all universities use the same surveys. I would say all universities use the National Student Survey. This is now being delivered by the Office for Students. It's always been referred to as NSS. All our final year undergraduate students across the country will complete this survey. The response rate for this survey is around about 70%. Which is very high for an online survey. I have to go out down the corridors and force students to complete it. I mean, we put an awful lot of effort in to get a response rate, all universities do. And this feeds the main league tables. So the league tables are very sensitive to this data, and it's really the Office for Students is saying, in the UK, students spend an awful lot of money on their education. It's not free. Therefore, all universities must do an awful lot to make sure the experience of those students is very high. You must spend the money on the universities, students rather, and not spend the money on the dean of students' salary. It's difficult there. So that's one thing we do. I'm more interested to talk about the other surveys that we opt into. So the ones we opt into are UCAS, PTES, and PRES. The UCAS survey is really a bit like the American Student Experience Survey. It's the UK version of the American Student Experience Survey. We use this for all our undergraduate students who don't participate in NSS. Okay, so we can capture all our students' views. So we can track year 1, year 2, year 3 experience for undergraduates. PTES is our postgraduate tours. So everyone on Master's Talk provision will do this survey. Every research student, so every Master's research student, every MPhil student, every PhD student will be asked to complete PRES, which is our postgraduate research survey, targeted at just research students. Now, normally about 117 universities will be using this survey in the UK, so the vast majority will use these surveys. Just to close the loop, for our taught programs, we get an awful lot of information from what we call our module surveys. I do a module class, a credit, and I can rate the lecturer and relate the experience of that module, that taught module, and we do what's called an internal your view survey, which I set up, and there's my results. It took me some time to find the ones where it's nearly all green. Green means good. Okay, so this is what the students think of my taught provision. We can use that as a guide. Obviously, in terms of a PhD student, it's very difficult. We've got about 100 students doing this module, but each of our academics might only be supervising 5 PhD students. So to get real data from 5 PhD students on what their supervisory experience is quite difficult. Hence, we don't do it internally, we do it internationally. Better confidence there. So we use a government-sponsored, or this is not really government-sponsored, it used to be government-sponsored, when it was used to be called the Advanced Higher Education Academy. It used to get money from government. It then became a private organisation and got money from people who subscribe to it. So I'm registered with the AHEA, and I pay money each year, a small subscription each year, to get just access to their information and data. Here's the website that you've got the slides, which I suggest you go to. I've taken most of the things I'm talking about today from this web page here. So this web page here. It would actually take you through what we do in terms of the postgraduate experience tool. You can access what questions we ask in more detail going through to this site. So I'm going to just give you an overview of what it is. I'm not going to go into too many specifics. I thought that would be too much to take in.
Are they open resources?
Yeah, so the other thing, good point, the other thing the government said is we're data driven, but any data we collect, it's open to the world. Okay, so you can log on to this website, you can download all the results. There's two levels of data. There's what's called public data, which is not commercially sensitive, but then to get the actual full reports on Brunel itself, you get headline figures. To get the full reports on Brunel, you can't have access to that. That's Brunel's own line. So you won't see any results from these. I'm not allowed to. If that camera wasn't here, I'd show you. But the camera's there, I can't show you. Okay, so that's the way it is. What I would say overall is, Brunel doesn't do that well on these surveys, and part of that we're trying to understand why, because we think we give them experience. It could be that problem with the commuter students. Because what we have found with all these surveys, all the London universities suffer. They get poor student satisfaction for the London region. Okay, so where you are in the country can take the issue as well. So you've got to take the data carefully. I would always say any data you collect, although it's nice to have it benchmarked, it's only really useful to do it year-on-year analysis, longitudinal, to see how are you improving it for your students. Okay, let's move on. So what is PRES? PRES is our research experience tool. It's national, it's institutional, and it can go down to subject level basis. So we can get data on the Department of Electronic Engineering as a department. We can also get data on a particular area in that department if we want to specify. So it can be from top-down level. We can compare the data from our own institution with all the universities that have participated. We can also request that our data is compared to a set of universities we think are like Brunel. So we can compare us, we can say, we think these universities are like Brunel University, we want to know how we rank amongst these 10, these 20 or these 50 different universities. So in the university sector in the UK, there's the Russell Group, which is the standard group set up, which we compare ourselves against. There's the pre-92, which is what Brunel is, and then we've got the post-92. And there's sort of three main benchmarks, which you can get standard reports on those three main benchmark university sets.
Which universities do you consider similar to Brunel?
That's commercially sensitive. So we always compare ourselves against all the London universities, and then all the universities that were set up around the same sort of time as us. So the 50-year-old universities. So the pre-92 it covers more than just the 50. So they're the set we look at. In terms of, we'd like to be part of the Russell Group, but it's hard to break that barrier with the way that the government funding works and other things work. It is quite difficult to do that. One thing that Brunel does, though, is whereas some universities, Brunel's age or a bit younger, they have put teaching first. So they very much looked at the undergraduate and postgraduate talk provision. Brunel's attitude is no, research-led university. All our staff is to do research, that's really important. And it's probably true at most universities. Again, I shouldn't show this to everyone, but quite often our teaching activity is funded on our research activity. When I say funding it, it's an academic will spend half their time doing research, but they're not spending half their time doing teaching. it's a difficult combination. That's the way it tends to work. And that's true across the university sector. It is designed to try to give a experience across the full student experience for the PhD student. So not just what it's like to be supervised by this particular supervisor in this department, but what are the other facilities like at the university, picture scouts, what's the library like, what's the sporting facilities like. It covers the full breadth of the experience of being part of the university. And I use it in my job, I use it as a way of seeing where we need to target our efforts to improve the student experience. So I don't care so much about where we are in the university sector. I would say, look, last year the research culture has dropped by 10% in this university. Students don't really think it's a research culture. It's not real figure, by the way. So I think that we need to investigate that. Why has that changed? And we must start doing things to improve the research culture. So that might have been the three-minute thesis competition. Let's put that in and see whether that improves it. And then next year we wanted to see whether that made a difference. And if it didn't, we might drop it. If it works out to be a good thing, we keep it. We kept it. It was a really good activity. Really good activity for those students engaged. So the next thing is to try to improve the engagement of those sort of activities. So where we are on the journey now is we put a lot of resources in to support PhD students. Not all PhD students embrace that support. The ones that do embrace it often don't need it. The ones that don't embrace it need it. So our drive now is to try to make sure that the people who need it embrace it. And that's why we've recently said, no, you must have a meeting every 3 months, 9 months, 18 months to make sure that they have a engagement plan, have a support plan, and they're actually doing what we think what they need to do. Each of those support plans is customised to the individual. So they don't all have the same plan, it's customised. Okay, so in terms of PRES, I've watched the time. In terms of PRES, I've mentioned this already, it's the supervision, it's the resources, it's the research community, it's how I think I'm progressing, how I am moving on from year 1 to year 2, am I being able to have access to some training, am I being able to present papers in journals, go to conferences, are all part of these sort of experience questions. So, in terms of who is eligible, you can change who is eligible for an institution, but Brunel's policy is anyone who's been registered for 6 months completes the survey. Now, of course, we know how long they've been registered, so we can do demographics and work out, okay, what do people here for 6 months think, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and you can split it up anyway. So we go for minimum, must be here for 6 months. One thing that we say, a bit like the government, all data we collect, all data I collect as part of my job, I make public to all staff and all students. So all students at university will see these results, they're not hidden. And in the student experience committees we have, we discuss the results and we try to work in partnership with the students to say, how would you like us to improve the research community at Brunel? Okay, and then we take that sort of information in. I should point out the Advanced Higher Educational Academy is actually changed its name now, it's got the A. It's just Higher Educational Authority. So that's the one you want to search for on the web, but quite often web pages have both logos. Okay. We just, this year, I think we just completed I just got to get results this week for this year's survey. 113 universities in the country took part of PRES, and we're getting something like 50,000 PhD students completing the data. So the data is quite rich, it's quite good data, it's meaningful data. Okay, so the next slide. So it started over 10 years ago, in sort of pilot phase here, with key universities. Brunel was one of these universities here. It's now up to 2017, and you can see it's been run every 2 years in the last few years. The government now, or the AHEA, have said, okay, we're now going to run it every year from now on. Now it's stabilised. So we surveyed this year in 2018-19 is the last set of data. And again, about 113 universities took part, which is the majority of the HE, what we call them AHEI, so the real universities actually will take part in this activity. And you can see it's quite a big growth in terms of the population. 60,000 students, the response rate's about 30-40%. Nationally, I would say, means that it's quite a representative bunch of results.
Only students participate in this? Only students participate, or?
Yeah, the students. No, just the students. We do other surveys for academics, but this is just from the student point. Okay, so you go to the web page. You can download the report. I've got last year's report here. So although it says 2017, this means the 17-18 academic year. So the report will land on my desk this week for the 18-19 academic year. So that's what the 17 comes. You can download and have a look at that. I've taken some presentations from this. Also, you can download all the raw data, all the satisfaction scores into a massive Excel spreadsheet for all the universities. You can see the data. Okay, so you can see, if you're a bit like me, you might love doing this. If not, just look at the slides and say that's what it can do.
So does the government evaluate universities according to this press data?
No, this is optional. This is not being used at the moment into any league tables. There's lots of confidentiality clauses. You have to sign off saying we won't use the data for this, we won't use the data for this, we won't show this bit of data. There's certain data we can't show.
So it's just an independent survey for the universities to evaluate this.
But the AHEA is really what all universities in the country look up to. It's what governs our educational policies. It gives us its trained staff. There's a lot of research on how to teach students.
Do they have similar surveys for other countries?
No, this is UK only. There's nothing stopping you taking this survey, having a chat to them and seeing whether they would deliver it in another country, or you can certainly think about what questions might suit you, or what questions might suit the modest group, and decide, well, is there something we want to standardise or try as a modest group to survey your PhD students at institutions now? So the things like that you could be doing. So here's so you can download the Excel spreadsheet, as I said before, and we download it. At the very top level, you'll see there's a whole lot of tabs here, and there's a whole lot of filters here. At the very top level, you can get the raw data. So the core areas or the core sections it does is supervision. So there's about 4 questions that ask about what your supervisor's like, how you've been supervised. There's about 4 questions on resources. There's possibly 4 questions in each of these areas. So supervision, resources, research culture, progression, responsibilities, research ethics, professional development, and where appropriate, teaching. So not all our students will see teaching. All our first year PhD students will probably see what the graduate school does as teaching. But our second and third year PhD students often don't get involved in any, don't get taught in our degree programs. Okay, we do have 1 2 degree programs, NGD programs, where students have to take modules each year. So the scores here don't always include the whole cohort of the student body. Green means it's very good. Red means it's low. So if we take resources, look over here, there are 4 main areas where the government or the AHE sees significant differences between. You can't really compare STEM with arts and humanities, different type of environment, different type of PhD. Okay, but if we do compare these areas, roughly goes into four particular fields. Health and social care is one area, STEM is another area, social science is the third, and arts and humanities is the fourth. And then the sort of classical subject matters. And you can see here, 86, 86, 85, 86, not much different, and 88. 1 or 2% difference in the scores between those areas for the supervision. So the students think they're being supervised well within the discipline. Come to resources, those in arts and humanities only 70% satisfied. Those in STEM are 85% satisfied. Those in STEM get this. Those in arts and humanities get the library or the web. I don't know. I'm an engineer, so I'm very biased. Okay, so here's so we do see variance in the subject. So if your university is mainly arts and humanities and has no STEM, you can't look at the overall average. You have to look at the average for your type of subject. I want to draw your attention really to research culture. When you scan across here, research culture. Let's drop the teaching. Not many. The set here is only probably the first years. In terms of research culture, that is the score that's always the lowest. 66% think we have a good research culture in the UK, and 86% thinks the supervision is good. So the thing about PhD students, they can be very lone beasts. If you're in a department that's only got a handful of PhD students, and your supervisor only got one or two PhD students, and you're living outside of London, you might never bump into another PhD student. Hence the idea of graduate school. We try to have some idea, some hub. Hence the reason why part of our library was set aside for PhD students only, in the study space, to give the hub there as well. So there's certain facilities they get that other students don't get, to make them feel special. Things like the going to conferences, we support that. Running internal seminars, we support that. So this year, every department in the university has had to run its own internal conference for its PhD students, where all the students have to come and present what they're doing to everyone else. They have to do it. Okay, so in that way, they get that experience to see what else is going on. They've got experience of doing a poster or a presentation, and that starts them on up talking about their work. One thing we find, or I find about PhD students, is very few of them actually like talking about their work. So what we try to do is have that part of the conversation. So you can go down and what we call is Jack's code. So I can take the STEM subjects and I can break them down to maths, computer science, engineering, geography. So you can actually go and look at subject-based level as well. And you can see that the least satisfied students are actually our history students, history and philosophy students are the students that are dissatisfied with their experience. You're not going to see this slide. You're not going to read this slide. It's just saying, well, actually, you can then break it down to demographics. So this is age, year of study, ethnic background, sponsored, funded, EU student. So you can cut and slice the data sets to see are there particular types of students in your university or essentially that are under or overrepresented in terms of satisfaction rates. Okay, so it's quite useful data to use. This is the sort of report I'm expecting to get this week. This is a fictitious university. It is not Brunel. It's called the University of. Anyway, it's a fictitious university. So universities can get ranked. I can see the ranking. So this particular university is ranked 9th overall in the country because it's a global ranking. It's 8th on research culture. It's 12th on resources. So you get to know where you are in the country. In terms of, I pick up research culture. I can see I'm 9th in the country, but then I can see the male students are 7th out of in the top 10. Yeah, so the male students are actually more happy here. The students that aren't so happy will be the female students in this particular case. You can look at home and EU students. We at Brunel have also put in a measure so we can actually work out what their travelling time to Brunel is. So when we download ours, we get the satisfaction of all the students travelling 2 hours, 1 hour, 20 minutes to Brunel as well. It comes in another bench, another way of the same sort of thing. So again, this is the global benchmark. There's all the universities in the country who completed PRES, and the dot here shows you where this fictitious university sits. It's not Brunel. So you can see the top quartile, the highest quartile, and the bottom quartiles of universities, and you can see where you sit. If you're actually interested to see where you sit as a ranking across the university sector, we'll be more interested in specifying a particular group. So we will look at all the universities that are generated pre-1992. So that counts for most of Brunel. We also pay extra to say, no, we want to be ranked against these 25 universities. So we know exactly where we sit against our targeted benchmark universities. And that becomes more useful data for me to use in my job. You can pay even more money, so this is where they're going to get the money from, to do analysis for you. I don't pay money. We've got a really good planning department, and the people over there can generate this sort of stats for me very, very easily, but universities can pay. So this is a stat that says, well, which parts of your university are well above your benchmark sector, which parts are well below your benchmark sector. And so if this was Brunel, I'd be going in and talking to the head of departments in these areas and saying, congratulations, well done, here's some funding to send some students to competencies. Your department's not doing very well, what are you going to do about it? If I give you more money to send your students to competencies, how are you going to use it? So both areas get more money. But the conversation is slightly different. Yeah? Because obviously what I don't want to do is those areas that are suffering, those areas that are finding it hard to give a good experience, it could be a financial issue there. Okay? Of course, the next year, as I said, last year I gave you more money, we've gone down. You're not having more money this year. Okay, so it's those sort of conversations. I'll skip on. So this is the sort of reports you can get. So this slide is actually saying, in terms of our biggest, this university's biggest strength is skills applying to appropriate research methods and tools and techniques. So here, our biggest strength is students think we give them the skills they need to do their research. Okay, so we can use this sort of data to work out what's good. This here is saying the worst thing about this university is the research ambulance in my development or faculty. So my department's not very good. I stress this isn't Brunel's data. So it's been a lot, it's 10 years we've been working on these slides. 10 years the government have been trying to say to universities, you've got to do more. Universities in the UK are taking a systematic approach now with this data to target the areas where we need to target. So these are the areas we have been targeting now for 5 or 6 years. So formalising research skills training, not just leaving it up to someone who's got a PhD, been a research assistant for 2 or 3 years, become a lecturer, and now supervising their first student. All our staff will get training how to supervise. All our students, wherever you come from, will go to the graduate school training program. So they get the minimum training. All our students will be told through the training scheme how to deliver your. And after about the first month, you have to write your research proposal and what you're going to do. They'll get trained how to do that well. They won't rely on the academic telling them what they need to do. Because the quality of supervision amongst academics varies. we're trying to increase the cross-disciplinary training activity. So the government knows that cross-disciplinary research is where we need to go. And to do that, we need our students, talking to other students, and bringing other research ideas into their research topic. So the idea of the graduate school and the tea shop or drop-in session, the students that use it well go there, talk about their research to other students, and other students give them ideas. Sometimes those ideas are far beyond what the supervisor might be thinking. Because quite often the supervisors can get very narrow. Okay? Research culture, but also, I mentioned those things also. They're the sort of things we're looking at. From the report from last year, so I couldn't do this year's, but you've become a week too early. This is showing here, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. About 50,000 students completed this survey last year. 50,000 students are saying, as they progress through their PhD, the supervisor is less able to help me with identifying my training and development needs as a researcher. Well, I should hope so. Because really, in the first year of study is where you need to be developing your research skill training, finding out what you need to know. And as we come across problems you can't solve, you might get some more training. So we would expect this to go forward. Okay? I will point out, though, that here we have the biggest population of students, then the population of students fall as we go through, because we have dropout rates. One thing we're trying to stop as a government, UK government, is we're trying to stop students starting a PhD and dropping out before they complete. Because the dropout rates cost us a lot of money as university, but they're not good for the student experience either. Okay? I mention that here because the number of students that are in their 5th year is very small compared to the number of students in their 4th year. Because most students have actually completed by their 4th year. So any data from the 5th year students here tends to be a smaller population, and it might be slightly negative because they haven't actually submitted on time. Okay? Research ambient in my department of faculty stimulates my work. Well, it's the trends are what we expect. We expect that the highly motivated student in the 1st or 2nd year is learning what they need to do, is researching widely. After about, in the 2nd and 3rd year, it's all about, I've got to generate that thesis next year, I've got to get this bit of research done to give me the results for that thesis. It becomes very narrow again. And they often don't need that significant help from the supervisor. They don't need that wider culture. So this could be partly because the students aren't mixing so much, but partly because they don't need it as well. Institutional values, responses and feedback from research students. Well, again, the ones that engage in the 1st and 2nd years and the ones that don't in the 2nd and 3rd year. So we tend to get, from these surveys, we tend to get data we expect to get, which is good. Now, if your university, Brunel's data doesn't map these, what I will do is overlap Brunel on here in my office, not to you. And if we're not above here, I'll be quite upset because we've done an awful lot at Brunel with the graduate school to try to improve things. Because to be honest, we were underneath it before. These are some other trends from this year. Again, the data's in the download the conversation. But remember I said that those students that are in the 5th year are those students that have had some issues with their completing on time. And you can see the satisfaction level here falls between 4 and 5 in most of these because they've had this group of students is not the same group as these students here. But generally over the time a student is studying in the UK, their ability to manage projects, which is this one here, increases. Their ability to communicate significantly increases. Yeah, that's quite a big change from 70% up to 85%. This is because most universities in the UK, and if we've got previous year's results on, you'll see that this curve here has gone up each year. as we're putting more effort in getting students to competencies, running your, if you can't send your competencies, you run your own internal sessions, you run your PhD more as a course, as a community, and rely on individual academics. I'll leave you to analyse that sort of data in your own time, but just be warned that sometimes you need to know a little bit more about the data before you take headline figures. Again, some more specific data. This is showing you receiving training and develop my research skills. This shows you the 4 different areas from arts and humanities to healthcare, and you see there's a difference here, a slight difference here. You can see that most PhD students think they're receiving the training they need. Very few are taking part in a placement internship. We don't have that as part of our PhD programme across the country. One or two courses at Brunel does, but not generally. Serving advice on careers options is very core. So one thing that students at Brunel always say, I've come to the end of my PhD, what do I do now? I'm not going to be an academic, what can I do? And I want help to actually get that first job. Okay, so there's sort of interesting trends. So as university, I think there's one here, agreeing a personal training and development plan. Nationally, that's only about between 40 and 50% nationally. At Brunel, when I see Brunel's data, I'm expecting that to be about 80% because of the new graduate school approach. So, I'll drag it out as long as I can, Tatiana. So just in summary, we've been doing this in the UK for many years to a stage now where I think the data is significant and valuable, and we've got a lot of data set. Lots of other parts of the world haven't got that rich data. You have to be very careful those who use the data sensibly. The biggest mistake people really do is get these sort of reports that you hand out and start using the headline figures without really understanding the data. That's very, very dangerous. Brunel's made that mistake before, but we try not to anymore. The other thing I'd say is surveys are good when you've got large volumes. It's only one window into student experience. From my perception, I try to go out and talk to as many students as possible. We try in this university to make sure that all students have a platform for discussion. So we have the directors of research, we'll have student experience groups where they get all the PhD students together in a department and they talk about the experience, what they'd like to do, work in partnership with the students, saying, okay, if we can do this, we'll do it, okay, and let's work with you on that activity. And that information then is then fed up to each college and then to the university as a working administrative process. I'll take questions then.
Any questions? Thank you very much, Ian. Oh, we have a question here, Ian. Come on. Sorry.
Specific question. I most probably do a comparison and correlation between this survey and all the other data that I've gone across the universities. For the research culture, do you also see the correlation between the synthesis research of the universities with the percentage of the research data? That's my first question. Is it happening? And my second question is, which of those criteria will have the different, the largest range, so between the universities, so the minimum, the maximum will be the largest?
Okay, I'll take the first question first. In terms of I haven't got access to university-wide results. So I can't say that, well, university-wide is a Russell Group university of a name. I know how much research income they get. I can't do that analysis. The government can, and would obviously could do that, but I can't. But that's to do with the NSS, so that's the NSS results. In terms of these AHEA surveys, the government doesn't have access to the data. The AHEA holds the data, and they will not use that data for that purpose in their terms. Okay? But in theory, if you had access to the data, you could do it. They do it with NSS, so there's certainly looking at the NSS results and trying to say, okay, what type of university gets good NSS results? What was the second question?
Question that it was probably linked to the previous one. Some of those, they most probably have the largest range of the percentages between the universities, and some will have the smallest. So I was just asking which of the criteria will have the largest range between the lowest and the highest percentage?
I think I'm going to ask that question a different way. I'm going to say that when I look at Brunel's data, I look at all the different departments, and they don't all get the same score. There's a great standard deviation between parts of the university. So I would go in and say, well, how can I try to bring up those areas that are low? What can I do? I go to the areas that are high and say, why are you high? What do you do? So one of the ideas was this research conference. Computer science at Brunel was always very, very good. It got really top research culture and scores. What did computer science do? PhD students arrived at Brunel, 4 weeks at Brunel, all the PhD students in the department go away for a conference. All 60 of them. And they go for a weekend retreat. They come back, and at the end of the year they present their posters. And they listen to final year presentations from PhD students. Staff hold regular research seminars every week, where all students are required to go. And they have this massive culture, and they got massive scores. Other areas of university just let up to the supervisor to have the culture. So Brunel's trying to build this culture in for all the departments. Now it's difficult when you haven't got critical maths, in which case we will run it not at a department level, but at a high level, bring perhaps a college of life sciences together, or business and sociology together, bring different areas together that should be cross-disciplinary linked anyway.
How many PhD students are there at Brunel in total?
Oh.
100.
1,000.
It's about 1,400. I think it's about 1,400. I mean, perhaps I can get that data for you, give it to you.
Just I want to compare the number of postgraduate students and undergrad.
Yeah.
How many undergrads?
So undergraduate, we're about 2/3 undergraduate, 1/3 postgraduate. Obviously, the postgraduate includes the master's provision as well. So our master's provision is pretty much the same as any single year entry, and then the PhD students about equivalent to that master's level as well.
It's a really research-driven university.
Well, to be fair, research-driven and income-driven, because students pay a lot of money.
How much do they pay for a PhD?
Too much?
Too much. Not enough in your case. The amount of time we've got to give to you. No. I think it's about, well, it depends on the home or overseas fee, but the overseas fee is 15,000, 16,000, 17,000 is postgraduate.
18.5.
It's 18.5, it's always going up.
And home students 4.5.
4.5?
Yeah.
And 17 for foreign students?
Yeah.
Including
8.5 now, but it's got to
Eight.
I think it's going to change.
per year.
and that only studies, only for studies.
Yeah.
Accommodation.
Yes, our accommodation and everything is in total.
But the biggest percentage, in terms of postgraduate population, most of our students are overseas students. So most are paying £17,000. They're coming to London, they're coming to England, London, Brunel, sort of criteria for their education.
That's a good place.
It is a good place. However, one of the biggest, it's a great attraction, but in terms of financial stress, our postgraduate division, their financial stress is very high compared to the undergraduate students. So we have an awful lot of issues with postgraduate students, particularly PhD students, being able to fund their studies. A lot of them try to do a lot of work, and work gets in the way of study, and then they can't deliver it on time. So that's the end of the cycle.
Do they have any chance to apply for some national grants to cover the expenses?
There are, I mean, they get grants when we get overseas students, a lot of them will come with a government grant from their home country. Some of them are purely self-funded. There's an awful lot of rich people in the world that want to send their children to England, America, Australia to get educated.
A question about more a research culture. So, imagine a scientific research supervisor, a professor, and a group of PhD students on a research division. So, how often are they supposed to report, like to present to their scientific supervisor on their research progress? Because you mentioned like 1 month, 3 months, but it's more formal, 18 months, 36 months, but usually within this group.
I mean, I think it's
individual, I understand.
Yeah, I mean, what I would like is a culture where they would be in the audience or presenting frequently.
A broader audience,
yeah,
not
yeah,
a research group.
Frequently. Yeah. If that's weekly or every other week or monthly, that's good. And if you've got enough PhD students, you can have a few presenting each topic, each session. The important part of that is to make sure there's tea and coffee afterwards, because it's a social conversation, it's a mixing session afterwards. Ideally, those students would bump into each other every week anyway and chatting.
Yes.
Yeah. In terms of a more formal presentation, like a mini conference, it's probably best, I would say, do that once a year, because it's not an organisation, and you want them to think about high quality, so they can have to deliver their paper online using the tools that we currently use in the research world to train how to do it. We had one last Friday, unfortunately I wasn't there, but the student had to, there was a student committee, staff and student committee ran the conference. It wasn't run by staff, partly run by the students as well. They were part of the vetting process on editing the journals and giving feedback to other students on their posters and their research as well. So they get used to the culture.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? It's all good? Thank you, Ian.